They didn't think she was paying attention. She just sat there, quiet, still, watching from the corner with those golden eyes that never seemed to blink. A tabby with perfect stripes, the kind of cat people walk past without really seeing. She came to the family 3 years ago from a shelter, and in all that time, she barely made a sound. No demanding meows, no attention-seeking behavior, just a quiet presence, the kind that teaches you to listen more than speak. Her name was Iris. And nobody knew yet that everything happening in that house, every subtle shift in emotion, every small crisis, every quiet moment of struggle, she noticed all of it. Not the way you notice something on a screen, passively, without really seeing it, but the way an old friend notices you're having a hard day just by looking at your face. The kind of knowing that doesn't require words, that goes deeper than language could ever reach. It started small. Sarah, the mom, was having one of those mornings, the kind where everything feels heavy and you're not quite ready to face the day, the kind where you wake up carrying something you can't quite name. She sat at the kitchen table in the dark, just thinking, not calling for help, not asking for anything, just sitting with it. She didn't call for Iris. She didn't even know the cat had followed her. But there she was. Iris appeared in that kitchen doorway, crossed the room in that silent way cats move, and did something she'd never done before. Something bold and deliberate and careful. She jumped directly into Sarah's lap. Not gently, deliberately, heavily, like she had something important to say with her whole body. Sarah looked down, surprised. She barely felt the weight. In that moment, something shifted. The world felt a little less alone. Iris didn't meow, she just sat there purring, not the light, distant purr from across the room, a deep, rhythmic rumble that you could feel in your bones, a vibration that seemed to say everything that needed saying. She stayed like that for 20 minutes, just present, not asking anything, not demanding anything, just breathing and existing beside Sarah in the way that only love, real and unshakable love, knows how. And something in Sarah shifted. That weight didn't disappear, but it felt lighter. That was weird, Sarah told her husband later, her voice still carrying something like wonder. But it was exactly what I needed. Tom didn't think much of it at the time. Coincidence. Cats do that sometimes. But then it happened again. Tom's teenage son, Alex, had a rough day at school. He came home quiet, disappeared into his room, didn't want to talk about it. That was the rule with Alex. He needed space when things were hard. But at around 3 p.m., when he was sitting on his bed staring at the wall, Iris appeared at his door. She walked straight to him, jumped up without hesitation, and lay directly on his chest, pressing her face against his chin. It was an unusual move for her. Alex, who hadn't cried about anything in 2 years, found himself with tears running down his face. Not sad tears exactly, but the kind of tears that come when someone truly understands you, when someone knows, without being told, that you need to be seen. "Did you send her?" he asked his mom later. "She just went to you." Days passed. Sarah started paying attention. She realized Iris was doing this with everyone, and not just once. It was systematic. It was purpose-driven. When Tom came home stressed from work, she'd wait at the door. When Sarah's sister visited and mentioned her divorce, Iris spent the entire visit on her lap, unmoving. When Alex got a good test grade, she celebrated with him by being extra playful that evening. It wasn't attention-seeking, it wasn't random, it wasn't luck. It was like Iris had appointed herself the emotional guardian of this house. But the real discovery came when Sarah set up a camera, not to monitor Iris, but because she was genuinely curious. How did the cat always know? Was it luck? Was it some kind of sixth sense? If you're watching this right now and you've ever wondered if animals can feel what we're feeling, hit that subscribe button, because what Sarah discovered about Iris will change how you think about the creatures living alongside us. Honestly, it'll probably change your whole day. The footage showed something Sarah never expected. Iris spent the entire day moving through the house, not aimlessly, methodically, like she was following a map only she could see. She would go to each family member's room one by one. She'd sit outside closed doors, listening. When she heard silence that felt wrong, the particular kind of silence that humans make when they're struggling, she'd wait. And when the door eventually opened, she'd be there. She seemed to know which room to go to and when. Sarah watched the entire day's footage in one sitting, 8 hours of video showing her cat making these quiet rounds, checking on each person. A routine, a ritual, a job she'd assigned to herself. Sometimes the family members didn't even notice. Sarah was in the kitchen and Iris sat outside the door watching. Tom was on a call in his office, stressed, and Iris was there beside his desk chair, waiting for him to finish, just present. There was one moment at 2:47 a.m. when Alex woke up from a nightmare. The footage showed him sitting up in bed, breathing hard, clearly shaken. Within minutes before he even left his room, Iris was there. Somehow, she'd woken up too. Somehow, she'd known. The timing was impossible, and yet it was right there on the screen. She jumped on his bed and stayed until he fell asleep again, not moving, not demanding anything, just there, completely there. A small weight that somehow made everything feel less heavy. A presence that said what words could never say. And she finally understood. Iris wasn't magical. She wasn't superhuman. She was just doing what cats do when they love their people so deeply they can't stand to see them suffer. She was paying attention in the way that only love teaches you to pay attention. Every moment, every silence, every small shift in the room's energy that only a creature living in the present moment could ever catch. From that moment on, Sarah looked at Iris differently. Everyone did. The quiet cat in the corner wasn't ignoring them, she was studying them. She was learning the language of their souls. She knew them, maybe better than they knew themselves. They started calling it her rounds, her nightly watch, her gift. The way she'd position herself near whoever needed her most. The way her presence in a room immediately made it feel safer, smaller, more manageable, more survivable. She was proof of something people forget sometimes, that love doesn't have to be loud, that attention is a form of devotion, that the smallest creatures among us often see the deepest parts of our hearts, that the most powerful gestures are often the quiet ones. Because love notices. Real love always notices. It shows up, it stays, it bears witness. If you have a cat, take a moment today to really look at her. She might know you better than you know yourself. And if you're thinking about adopting a cat, remember this. They're not just pets. They're healers. They're quiet guardians. They're witnesses to our lives. They're proof that connection doesn't require words. Here's what I want to know. Have you ever felt like your cat was truly understanding you? Like she knew what you needed before you even knew it yourself? Tell me in the comments, because I have a feeling some of you have Iris stories of your own. The stories about the cats who showed up exactly when you needed them most.